Okay, I am in my pajamas. Hello, Trey is downstairs grabbing me an orange, and we killed like 7 bags the other day. These are so yummy, but we're gonna be snacking on these while we do our little story time. Basically, I made a TikTok about this topic. I made 2 TikToks actually, and they both went crazy viral. I know we haven't been posting on YouTube. We've been more consistent on there, but I kind of wanted to sit down and just chat with my YouTube fam because I miss you guys and just do a more in detailed story time.
I'm also here in my pajamas.
We're in our jammies. So Baymax is here. Hi. Somebody screenshot this and send it to us. Before we get started on this little story time, I just want to say too, for those of you guys who've seen it, I did post this whole story time on TikTok, right? And it went crazy viral. I was not expecting that many people to reach out and DM me, and got so much positive feedback from it, but there were a few people on there. Normally I don't really address these comments, but the only reason I'm bringing it up now is because I wasn't comfortable with the fact that there were some people harassing other people in the comments, and I know those people aren't our little family that we got going on, you know? Like, I saw a lot of comments coming at other people for their beliefs, and some of those comments were very aggressive. They were basically just harassing people for their religious beliefs, and I do not stand for that, so I will be having somebody delete those comments if that does happen underneath this video. I just want this to be a safe space in the comments. You know, like, miscarriages are obviously a hard topic for a lot of people, and the last thing people really need is to have a random person on the internet commenting and telling them,
well, this is why.
Yeah, well, this is why this happened, or
because you're not this, or it's because you're this, or whatever the case may be. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but at this moment in time, unless you're seeking comfort, mind your business. It's the friendliest way I could put it.
Long story short, I unfortunately did have a miscarriage earlier this year. We're gonna start off by talking about the day it happened, how it happened, because, you know, I did get a lot of questions about people asking me how long I was pregnant. To start off, it's like a long story, but I actually did not know that I was pregnant. So we're gonna go into more detail about that right now, and I think we're gonna start off from that day. So the day was March 7th. We were getting ready to go to
my nephew's dedication, because we're his godparents, kind of like a baptism sort of thing. But
I don't know, but I was like the godmother, so I was so excited, like, okay, I'm gonna get all these gifts and stuff. Like, the night before, I was preparing like the gifts. To give you guys some like context on what happened that day, so to clarify the fact that I didn't know I was pregnant, right? Ever since I started having a period, I never had a regular cycle, right? So for those of y'all who don't know what that is, like, most girls experience like a regular cycle, so you'll get your period every month. Some months I would go like 6 months and it would be a regular cycle, and then all of a sudden it would stop, and then I would go 2 to 3 months without a period. When I was on birth control, when I was younger, my period was all over the place. I would bleed every single day at one point, and then I switched to a different birth control, and then I didn't have a period for like 2 months. That's the reason why I didn't know I was pregnant. A little irresponsible of me, I know, but hey, it happens, right?
And everybody's body's also different with or without birth control. Sometimes some people just have irregular cycles. That's a normal thing. Nobody's body is all the same.
I want to talk a little bit about intuition, right? Because one of my best friends, her name is Beth, she has kids. She always told me when she had her twins that she always knew when she was gonna be pregnant, and she always knew it was gonna be girl, right? Like, as a mother, she just intuitively like knew that, right? And I never understood what that was, just because I obviously was never a mother.
To them, you have been, or you are.
Oh yeah, I'm a dog mama, so.
And cat.
And cat. The week leading up to my miscarriage, I remember vividly like having dreams, specifically the night before, and like, I've never been the type of person to be into kids. That sounds mean, but I've never been a very affectionate person with children. Like, I'm close to my little brother, but I'm never much of a kids person. Like, couple of weeks leading up to my miscarriage, I remember I would have like thoughts that I never felt before. Like, I would
like
think
baby fever
in a way, or just the way that I looked at having children had changed. And I don't know if that's because my body felt that I had a baby in me. For example, the night before, I had a dream about babies, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I had a dream about kids. And then I remember like I had a dream that I was in the restroom and my stomach was hurting really, really bad. I wake up, and then the first thing I did was like go on TikTok. So then I'm on TikTok, and then I see baby things on my For You page, and as you guys may know, like, I was like seeing baby things, and I never like really liked those videos. So in my head, I'm just like, why am I seeing like baby things? I remember I seen like, oh, specifically I seen a pregnancy announcement. And I was like so happy for them, and I was commenting on it. I was like, oh my god, congratulations. After, you know, I was scrolling on TikTok and stuff, I started getting ready because we had to go to
my brother's.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm rushing to get ready. I'm the godmother and everything. I'm prepping the gifts and stuff so we can get going. As I'm getting ready, I start to feel like a very sharp pain in my stomach. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe, you know, period cramps possibly. Like, I haven't had my period in forever, so it's probably like my period finally here. But then as like time goes on, I want to say a minute later, it starts to get really, really bad.
From my point of view, at first I was like, okay, she's experiencing...
You're probably like, oh, she needs to take a shit or something.
No, I thought because she hasn't had her period yet, but we're kind of used to that already. That, okay, now it's finally here. Usually when it takes a long time for her to get her period, when it does come, it hits her like a fucking truck. So I just thought, okay, her period comes and it's gonna flood in like crazy. So I just thought, okay, she's gonna be in a lot of pain. We should probably go get Midol. And then I just hear immense pain coming from my bathroom. And it wasn't like the regular when she's in pain.
I'm like, ow.
She kind of moans and groans and stuff. This one, I could tell she's never felt this pain before.
Yeah.
I could tell that she was in a state of discomfort that she's never been before.
So I started like having a panic attack.
So
I think I was standing by the dresser.
yeah, so it went from the dresser, tried to muscle it out, which is very commendable.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, no, like we gotta get to the baptism thingy, like we gotta go. So then I started thinking, I'm like, okay, you know, if y'all know me and you see my TikToks, you guys know I eat a lot of spicy foods, right? So I'm like, maybe it's catching up to me. And I'm sorry if I'm laughing, like, again, it is a very serious situation, but it is kind of how I cope with things. So I hope you guys don't think I'm being insensitive. So I'm thinking, you know, maybe my spicy foods are catching up to me. Yeah, so I start to walk towards the restroom, and then all of a sudden, it kind of just happened so quickly. This gush of blood just starts pouring out of me. I mean, I've had irregular periods my whole life, but I just knew my body that is not a regular period. A gush of blood comes out, and this is why I was talking about like intuition. It's so weird, like how this played out.
There was too many coincidences.
I just feel this really sharp, and it doesn't necessarily feel like a cramp. It's kind of hard to describe, but all I know is I felt so much blood gushing out of me, and I scream. I scream so loud. I drop to the floor. He rushes upstairs to look at me, and I'm on the floor. And then do you remember I was just crying hysterically?
Yeah.
I just start bawling my eyes out, and then it's crazy because I didn't even know what was like coming out of my mouth in that moment because I was just so hysterical because of the pain. But I remember just looking at him crying, and then I was telling you, I was like, I'm having a miscarriage, right? This is before going to the hospital or anything. It's just, I don't know what made me say that, but I just felt it in my body. I was like, there's no way this is a period cramp or spicy food, I ate something bad or anything like that. Like, I knew myself, and I just knew what was happening in my body, right? So then, like, always tell him all the time, if I'm ever in pain or anything, I don't have health insurance, by the way, so I always tell him, like, if something were to ever happen to me, never use the ambulance. Don't take me to the hospital. Like, I'll wait it out because medical bills are really expensive. But in that moment, I'm staring at him and I'm begging him. I'm like, please, 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 like, call the ambulance now, right? And then this isn't you being like a dick or anything. He just didn't realize like how much pain I was in. So then he's like going downstairs to call somebody, I think. So I managed to crawl into the bath and then get myself up on the toilet. And my whole body, I was sitting on the toilet literally like this because of how much pain I was in, right? And then I think you threw me a pillow at one point, so I was like,
I didn't throw it, I handed her a pillow.
You handed me a pillow, yeah. So he handed me a pillow at one point, and then I was sitting on the toilet, and then I'm just sitting there and all this blood is coming out. So then my first thought is like, okay, I need heat.
So then usually what I would do when she has a period is I would get a towel, a small little like rag, run it under water, or a t-shirt, I'd run it under water, then I put it in the microwave so it heats up, and then I'd give it to her to place to soothe any abdominal pain.
Yeah, so he was downstairs and he was getting me a towel, but I could not wait. So I like crawl myself into the bathroom. I'm literally like crawling on the floor because of how bad the pain is. I reach up, I turn on the hot water, put it all the way hot, and then I laid down on the ground, and I remember like holding myself, and then like all the blood is coming out, and then like I don't know how I knew. I don't know if that's like a motherly instinct or something. I've never experienced it, so I don't know. But basically I'm laying in the shower and then all the blood is coming out of me. I'm like just holding onto the pillow, and then the water was so hot. I remember because I turned it all the way up. The water was so hot so I couldn't breathe. I can't believe I'm still holding this orange. I remember the water being so hot and I'm like screaming in there because of the pain. I'm so surprised like my apartment complex or like security or something didn't come knocking on my door, because I was, do you remember? I was screaming.
It was very, very loud, and after a couple screams, I rushed back upstairs and her coiled up into this ball in the shower. Whole floor is wet. We have carpet upstairs, so the carpet's wet and the shower door is wide open. She curled up in a ball and tears are coming down her face. And I could tell I've never seen her in this much pain before. As she looked at me again, she said she already knew what it was before we really knew what it was, before we had, medical confirmation. This is a miscarriage. I have to be having a miscarriage.
And we never knew I was pregnant.
We didn't know she was pregnant, and we weren't planning to have kids.
But I think the reason I said like the story about my friend Yvette and stuff and like motherly instincts is because I never knew what that felt like until this situation. Even though like I didn't know I was pregnant, my first thought was, I don't know, maybe we can save it somehow. But long story short, so he ends up panicking. You throw a hoodie on me, right? I'm soaking wet. My hair is just like drenched in water. I did have like a little bit of makeup on, but not. Oh wait, no, I didn't have makeup on.
Not yet. She's drenched, and if you have long hair, after you get out the shower, you gotta comb your hair. I had no time for any of that. She was already yelling at me. She was yelling at me. That's how I knew that to call an ambulance. So I throw clothes on her. I know it's COVID time, so I give her a mask. She can't walk. Physically cannot put one in front of the other. So I have to kind of be a crutch to her, get her in the car. I look up the closest urgent care. We get out of our parking structure, flying across the street to get to this urgent care. So
he drags me out of the car. I just remember it all happened so fast because I was in so much pain, but we get to the waiting room. He sits me down. He checks me in right away. And this isn't me trying to get sympathy. In no way do I expect like special treatment or anything. I just vividly remember the like front desk people that were there were very insensitive.
It was sort of like the come on, let's go sort of thing. That was the attitude. At least the people at the reception desk came across like, all right, what do you want? I've done a better job of it over the years to mask my anger and to replace that with compassion. But at this moment, this was a emergency situation to me, so I just had it. I just wanted, my girlfriend is in dire need of fucking help. Do not talk to me like that. It's the worst time you can talk to me right now. So, lose the attitude, you know what I mean?
I do remember a ton of stares at me. Keep in mind, I'm still like drenched in a hoodie.
Yeah.
And then there was like people in the waiting room, like I could tell like all the eyes were on me, were like so concerned. And then luckily, I mean, it felt like the longest 10 to 15 minutes ever. But after 10 to 15 minutes, right away, I run into my room. The nurse starts talking. She asks me what's going on. I give her a quick rundown of what's happening. And the first thing she asks, when it was your last period? I tell her, and then I can tell by the look on her face, pretty much already knew. And then I gave her more details on it. I remember her giving me a sad face and like telling me like, oh my god. I remember her telling me I can't give a for sure answer right now. I do need to run some tests, have you see a doctor. But she did tell me like, woman to woman, I'm very sorry, but unfortunately that does sound like it was a miscarriage. She has to go talk to the doctor or whatever. And then I remember being in the waiting room and then just having my head down. Intuitively, I felt it. I don't know. When she told me that, it hurt really bad, just getting like confirmation. But in my head, I was like, no, it could have been something else. So I'm still thinking of the spicy thing.
And I'm completely out of the loop. I couldn't be there, so I had to wait outside, and she didn't have her phone, so I couldn't text her.
I'm just sitting there waiting for the doctor to come in, and then he finally comes in. To an extent, I kind of understand, but to this day, like, I still can't wrap my head around the fact that I received like zero empathy from the doctor. I could tell he was a very good doctor and he was kind, but the way he delivered the news to me was very, very blunt. Then he did start talking about other health problems that I had and proceeded to ask me if I was anorexic and all these different things. And I'm not gonna get into it, but it was a very one and done. I'm sorry that happened. Here's some medicine, go. They ended up confirming that it was a miscarriage. So the next thing I had to do was go to the car to him.
I didn't get confirmation until she got out.
Because you see me on the floor screaming, baby, baby.
Interesting part is that I've never really talked about what was going on in my head during this whole thing. And me and her could be separated. She could be one place and I could be somewhere else. Not being able to call her, be like, are you okay? I'm just the kind of person, I always have to know what's going on. It gives me a lot of anxiety. If you guys know me well enough, or if you've been around long enough, you know that I quit smoking cigarettes. At that moment on, I felt very stressed. I've never been through anything like this. I can only imagine what she's going through. So I'm outside and I'm visibly stressed. People are like walking along the sidewalk and everything's pissing me off. I'm worried. I don't know whether to cry, freak out. She was strong enough to come out. She has her hood over her head and then I say, okay, what they say.
I just hug him and I start crying and then...
It was quiet for a bit.
We just stayed quiet for like 5 minutes. Cause like... And I know it sounds... I don't know. Because I know it sounds like stupid because I don't know, the way that I think people might like see the situation is like, oh well, you didn't even know, so why are you so upset about it? But like, even though I've never really been like a kids person, like the fact that it was like with you,
from my, as the, how can I put this? As the father of this potential child, even though we weren't planning for a kid, I always knew when the day came when I wanted to have a kid, when I wanted to have a child of my own, I always knew it was going to be with you. I always knew that you were going to carry my children or were going to be the mother of my children. In any which way or form, you were going to be the mother of my children. And to know that you were, technically.
And I think that's the second part too, is because we always knew we would have kids, but like, to find out, like, oh, here's your first pregnancy, oh, but it died.
Yeah, it's very...
And I know, like, a lot of people were, like, telling me not to blame myself because they've been in a similar situation, but it's really hard because the way I looked at it for a long time was like, because the week prior to everything happening I was really stressed out, but with all honesty, like, I feel like I'm always stressed out and I'm always anxious. So the way I looked at it was like the week before I was very triggered over certain situations that have happened to me in the past. So I just remember I was really stressed out the week before, and then I obviously have never been pregnant before, so when I was doing research on it afterwards, like, a lot of it said that like one of the main causes of miscarriage is stress. So even though people were telling me not to blame myself, I couldn't help but to feel like it was my fault.
What?
I don't know, the thoughts that were going through my head was like, had I focused on myself and worked on healing from my trauma sooner, maybe the baby would have survived. Okay, sorry. It's not underwear, I'm wiping it with this freaking...
It's an undershirt. So a lot of things were going through our mind. From my point of view, I felt like shit for feeling like shit because it wasn't happening to my body.
But those feelings are valid, I feel, though.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be my child. I didn't give my chance to validate that because I wasn't the one physically and mentally going through the process of miscarrying. I always have this thing when it comes to me and her, is that my job with her is to try to make her day as easy as possible, and to know that it could have been caused by stress. It's like I didn't do my half. Had I done my job,
I don't think that's true.
well, that's what I felt.
So
So It was a very, very tough day mentally. People who know are very supportive, thankfully, and we try to keep it close to the chest. I didn't want to talk about it until she was ready to talk about it. It's more her business than it is mine. So I didn't feel right saying it. And I'm not a big sharer when it comes to what's happening in my head or my feelings. When I saw that she was a bit more comfortable speaking about it, if people, whoever she told or whatever the case may be, asked for my opinion on it, then I would give it. But there's a lot of processing, and it's still a lot of processing.
So long story short, that whole day, that happened on March 7th. And then when we came home, Baymax, I remember the whole day he was just laying with me. And I even had like a photo that you took. I was laying on the couch and he just had his head right here.
He wouldn't leave her side.
Yeah, he was just as sad as I was that day. And weeks go by, and it's another reason why we weren't really posting on YouTube. Yes, I was posting on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, but I just felt like it was a lot easier on me because it's short form content, and I felt like I didn't need to dedicate myself to being on like a YouTube video for 20 minutes, you know. And I'm sorry if that sounds selfish. I did get a DM the other day of someone saying like, hey, you haven't updated anybody at all, you only post on this platform and this platform. And it's like, I do really apologize if anybody felt like we abandoned like this platform or anything. It was just tough. Now we're gonna get into like the more interesting part of the story time, and this is the part where I want everyone to kind of listen with an open mind, because I know there are a lot of people who are skeptics and a lot of people are not, but I do ask, if you do choose to continue the video, that do not harass people in the comments. You don't hate on people in the comments for, you know, simply their beliefs and their religious beliefs especially. So I would consider myself a very spiritual person. I'm very much into crystals and energy, and I believe that certain people do have very amazing gifts from the universe. And you know, I always watch like tarot readings and stuff on TikTok, and had some friends that were really into it. So I remember one day because I fell off of it for a little bit, because I like bounced back on like so many different topics, but like I remember one day I was really sad, so I just felt like going on YouTube, right? So I see this video on my thing, and then it's from this YouTuber who does tarot readings. So I click on her video and I see that she's doing like online readings, and they're basically like pick a card readings. So I go and I participate in it. She gave me a message and it said coming in contact with a pet, and she starts talking about how you've gone through a dark time. She says you are going to be encountering a pet, and these pets are souls. These pets are souls that are sent from the universe to guide you through a very dark time. Yeah, so I get that reading and I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. We don't really think anything of it. Weeks go by, and then we just start talking about getting another puppy. I don't know what it was, but we just intuitively, like, we really wanted another puppy. For those of you guys who don't know, my whole life I had always been drawn to Georgia, and I've mentioned that before. Like, people from Georgia are like, girl, why do you want to come here, right? And then when they would ask me that, I don't know. Like, I truly did not know, but I would always think of Georgia. Whenever I'd meet someone from Georgia, I'd get so happy. I'd ask them so many questions about it, because I always felt like good energy there. I don't know what it is, but I always felt a pull to go to Georgia. Funny enough, you know, we're looking at, because we really wanted a dachshund. And then another side note, right? About a year and a half ago, I also went to a different sidekick. I went to a clairvoyant, and then I remember her telling me I was gonna go on a very big significant trip. I was gonna travel somewhere at the time that we did, right? So then I'm always like, oh, okay, that's interesting. We end up finding this puppy from this family in Georgia, of all places. So I'm like, interesting. Like, my old sidekick told me that I was gonna go travel on a big trip, and then this puppy is in Georgia, which is a place I have always been drawn to. That's such an interesting coincidence. Personally, I feel like there's never any coincidences. That's the reason we went to Florida. For those of y'all who didn't see, we went to go visit his family, and we stayed at his family's in Florida, and then where the puppy was located was on the border of Georgia and Florida. So we got to meet in the middle, basically. Okay, so then long story short, you know, we're so excited, right? We were prepping like the whole week before and everything, preparing for her arrival, and then we go out out there. Finally the day that we're gonna get the puppy. For those of you guys who never met her, her name is Tallulah. We'll insert a picture here. You know, we're talking to the lady and stuff, and then we get her vaccination records and all her paperwork and everything, and then we leave. I remember we were looking at the paperwork to go see her shot records to figure out what other shots she needed. And I remember looking at it, and then we look at, do you remember this? And then we're looking at her birthday, and then remember how the psychic, the online one, was saying there's a pet. This pet is a soul that is being sent from the universe to help you through a very dark time. In the moment, I didn't know what that meant, but I looked down at the paperwork and we see her birthday, and her birthday is March 7th, which is the exact same day that I had a miscarriage. I get chills just thinking about it. I know a lot of people might look at this in a certain way, and that's another reason I was saying like the comments thing earlier, because the comment section on TikTok turned into like a battle between religions, and you know, that's really not what I wanted. I just wanted to share a story that I felt like was so crazy. It's just the fact that the psychic said that this pet is being sent to you to help you through a dark time, and then seeing that Tallulah's birthday was the same exact day that I had a miscarriage. Some people were saying reincarnation, some people were saying like a gift from God. I don't know how I see it, but one thing for sure that I do feel is she was for sure a blessing from the universe, and it was a gift to let me know like, hey, things are gonna be okay and you shouldn't blame yourself. The way I looked at it was like the universe was kind of giving me like a hug or a high five. I want to show you guys. Look. Oh my god, I got chills right now. Do you see that? It's 111 right now as we're filming this. That's crazy. Sorry, for those of y'all who don't know, there's like such thing as angel numbers, and like an example of that is 111, 222, 444, and basically like signs from the universe or your angels or spirit guides like speaking to you, right? So the fact that I just saw 111 right now as I'm saying that, crazy to me. I'm sorry. I know I never really talk about my spirituality. I don't know, with this certain like topic, I need to open up about it a little bit more, but that is basically our experience, my experience having a miscarriage, and then going to the psychic, and then getting that reading, and then Tallulah's here. So yeah, I don't know, I'm still like shaken up about like the time right now, so I don't know what to say really.
Everything happens for a reason.
Felt very comforted in the end, and I feel like Tallulah being here has just been a lot of like help for me. I don't know, I feel like it helped fill up like that void. You know, like you said earlier, like even though I'm not like a mom to human children, like I have my pets. I love my pets. And yeah, I just wanted to like share this crazy story because I just think that it's such a beautiful, crazy coincidence. She just so happened to have the same birthday, the day of my miscarriage, and then so many people reached out to saying that they've had similar experiences. I obviously don't want to put them out there, but there are like some on the comments of my TikTok video, if anybody feels like comfortable looking through those. I tried my best to get rid of a lot of like the mean comments. Again, if you are someone who has gone through this, I want you to be able to watch this video and scroll through the comments and not get triggered by any of this, because I know how severe that can be. And even if you haven't been through anything like this, you have a similar story that you want to share, or if you have a story of how the universe has blessed you in any way, please feel free to share it with us. Make sure you guys, you know, in this video specifically, in my blazing crab videos and all that, you know, speak your mind and stuff, but in this video specifically, just try to keep the comment section a very safe place. I have this in my TikTok bio because I want people to know, but my DMs are open on Instagram, on TikTok, and I do respond to them, or at least as many as I can. I am so sorry if I have not gone back to your DM, but I promise I do try to get back to all of them. Yeah, and then I hit 700k on TikTok recently, today actually, so that is so crazy. My little family is growing on there. We are going to try to get back on YouTube again, so if you have video suggestions, please let us know, and don't think that we abandoned you guys. All these bags of chips.
This has been, you know, not your everyday Alyssa and Trey video. No one's getting. Thank you guys for watching, for sitting and listening. If you sat through this whole video, we really do appreciate it. Thank you for just listening.
Yeah, thank you guys for letting me share my story, and if you stuck around this long, I know it's kind of a lengthy video, but if you sat through the whole thing, thank you so much. That is it, and we will see you guys later on this week. See you, bye!